the end of the last movie that Daniel Craig does as Bond, there's a beautiful poem written by Jack London that M, his boss, reads, right? And I'm gonna read it out for you guys. I'm gonna black the screen though because I'm gonna obviously be reading and disconnecting from you guys in terms of eye contact. And it says, I would rather be ashes than dust. I would rather that my spark should burn out in a brilliant blaze than it should be stifled by dry rot. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. The proper function of a man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. That last part, I shall use my time. If you've had a conversation with me about my love for Daniel Craig's interpretation of Bond, then you'll know just how passionate I am about it. And I've watched the era of Pierce Brosnan, right? I'm that old to have seen Pierce Brosnan with Halle Berry, that iconic scene where she comes out of the water at the beach. And that was all well and good, but I remember seeing Daniel Craig's version of Bond for the first time. And something about him gripped me. I'd watched Bond before. I'd even watched the ones before that, right? Roger Moore. But there was just something about the way that Daniel Craig embodied Bond, right? For the first time, Bond was very human, flawed, outrageously flawed, incredibly flawed. He had some incredible failures, some incredibly defeating moments. If you've watched Skyfall, when he stars next to Javier Bardem, and the character of Javier points out to him his flaws, that the fact that even though he's been passed fit for duty, that it was all a lie, that his entire life per se as an agent has been a lie, that he's not as good as he thinks he is. The entire era of Daniel Craig's Bond for me represents that inner fight for ourselves, not even with the world. That's a whole other fight, but there's an internal fight for ourselves to self-define, to live life as we would see fit, to live a life that ultimately, hopefully, would be able to say at the end of it, to echo Julius Caesar's famous words as he had conquered Asia Minor, which is Turkey now. He said, Veni, Vidi, Vici. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at my notes because, this is one of those episodes. Yeah. Veni, Vidi, Vici. I saw, I came, I conquered. There's a beautiful scene at the end of one of my favorite movies with Sir Anthony Hopkins, Meet Joe Black. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. It's Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins at their best, right? They've starred next to each other quite a number of times, but that one was just iconic. And there's a point where Bill Parrish, the great William Parrish, is giving a birthday speech at his 65th birthday, and he says somewhere in this speech, and he says, I wish for all of you to have a life as lucky as mine. And I remember thinking, what? Right? The first time you would think that was a bit arrogant, but then you take a step back and think, imagine having a life so wonderful, so magnificent. And I mean in all of its aspects, not just in terms of business or whatever, but he's an incredible dad. He's an incredible father to his two young daughters, or to his two daughters. And he takes on a father figure even within the industry that he is. He's a captain of industry. And he looks at all his accomplishments and his loving daughters, and how they've also gone on to do great things. And he says to the crowd, I wish for all of you to have a life as lucky as mine. And that's the fight, I believe. That inner fight to say, did I live it as best as I could? Imagine sitting on the other side of your life and no one is doing a review and you're not being interviewed, but it's you just paging through the moments of your life. Think about it. You may be scrolling through the moments and a question comes up and says, to yourself, from yourself, and says, did we do it as good as we could have? Like, did we do it as well as we could have, lived it? Where could we have done better, right? Did we give it all that we have? Were we fearless in the pursuit of the purpose that which we're sent here on this planet for? And there are many paths one can take that or challenge that or undertake that journey of figuring out, why am I here? For us Christian folk, it's through the lens of Christianity. And for the non-believers, because I know that this channel speaks to people from all walks of life, and it would be ignorant of me to think that it's just a specific demographic, if I may put it that way, an audience, a much better word. When you get to the end of your life, would you be able to say, Veni, Vidi, Vici? I came, I saw, I conquered. What did you see in your life? I think some of us, there's a danger that we can slip into, that which is to sleepwalk through our lives. You get up every morning, you go to the office, or you go and do whatever it is that you do, and then you bed down and you get up again in the morning. And that for me just doesn't quite seem like the best way to do this thing, right? The function of man, the proper function of man is to live. Am I alive, or am I merely existing? Right? Am I a meteor blazing across the sky of those who are fortunate enough to live in my time? And you've got to think that way. And I know it sounds very, very arrogant for you to say that they're fortunate to have seen you, to have experienced you, but you need to see that in yourself. I know we're taught to think less of ourselves, but at the same time, I'm also reminded that we're made in the image of an amazing God, of an almighty God. We are divine in that manner. We're made of that stock, that which is eternal, Him who is eternal, right? There is something fundamentally divine about humanity, whether you subscribe to a form of faith, religion or not. Deep down that there's something divine about me. I'm not just a bag of meat and bones. There's that which transcends the tangible part of me. And here you are, you're alive, you're literally burning time. It's your time, it's your moment. I want to be that comet that blazes across the sky. Even if you crash, I remember saying this to somebody, that even if I fail, I want to fail spectacularly, so spectacularly that if I crash and burn, it has to look like I'm a comet blazing across the skies of those who have chosen a timid and mediocre life, to the point wherever that is where I crashed, they would build a monument and say, listen, he may have failed, but he failed in a way that no one else has failed before. It was beautiful to watch him try. Whether we care to admit it or not, humanity has this proclivity for celebrating, and sometimes celebrating the good and the bad. We love to see people rise, right? Because they encourage us, they inspire us to higher. But we also do love to celebrate when they fail. That's the reality of humanity. And I think for some of us, sometimes we fear the latter than the former. Like, we fear the latter instead of embracing the former. We fear being laughed at. We fear being spoken about. Did you see how she tried and she fell flat on her face? But there's a beautiful poem by Theodore Roosevelt, and he speaks about the man in the arena, and he says, at least your place, the man in the arena, his place will never be about amongst the cold and timid souls who never tried, even if he falters greatly. Whether he knows that, the heights of triumph or the crushing weight of defeat, his place will never be amongst the talkers. the gawkers, the commenters, right? Sending a tweet quickly. Oh, did you see how she? I would dare to say that we owe it to ourselves, even if to nobody else, with this one run that you get on this dusty moat that we call Earth, right? That we call home. That we would go all out, all like just full on, no, half-assing this, no, 50-50, but full tilt, full send. Go full send into whatever it is that you think you're supposed to be doing, even if it's not the thing, right? It'll be the thing that leads to the thing, because I think a lot of us are paralyzed by this analysis paralysis, where you're like, I'm trying to make sure that when I do it, it's the thing and I don't mess it up so that no one can laugh at me. No, sometimes you're going to hop from one thing to the other thing until you find your thing, and maybe your thing may just be to explore just what it is that you're capable of. Some of you are thinking, what is my ultimate purpose? And maybe it's a thing, an organization I'm going to start. Maybe your purpose is to explore the limits and the depths of your potential. Start something, do it really well, come to an end of a chapter, seal it, celebrate. Don't forget to do that, because I think a lot of us we forget to celebrate when we've come to the end of a chapter of something that is amazing, that we put our heart and souls into it. You need to give yourself a break. Clap hands for yourself. We may be living in a world where that doesn't like to clap hands for other kids, so you need to learn how to clap hands for yourself. But do something. There's a favorite saying from like the 90s, and it's showing my age, but in the US they used to say bust a move. Like, do something, bust a move, bro. Like, don't just stand there, just something. You've got breath in your lungs, you got a heartbeat, you got a pulse, you're moving, you're alive, you're not a dead body. That time will come when we're dead, but for now we live. That great sleep is coming, and then we'll live another life and the next one. But for now we're here, and we gotta make it count, so that we can say Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. And who are we conquering? To a large extent, I think we're conquering ourselves. That inner fight, Bond has to grapple with life's touch, and life leaves such a touch on us. Sometimes it's a delicate touch, sometimes it's a fist to the face. He deals with the crushing weight of his losses with the people the villains that he does, war with, he goes to war with. He also battles the weight of love and the loss of that love. If you're a Bond fan, you would know about Vesper Lynd and how that Bond gets touched by love for the first time, and it absolutely changes who he is. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because Bond is taught to be strong and obstinate and just a pillar of granite, right? Which is English, right? Proper. We must be proper. And it touches him. I think some of us are in desperate need of being touched by something as soft as love. We're too hard in this life. If you look around you, I'm looking at this parking lot here on campus. There's both stone and flower. That which is hard and enduring, that which is delicate, beautiful, and does not last long. All of it, we have to drink it in. It is part of our lives. It's a beautiful thing. We see him grapple with his past, and there's a lot of us who need to do quite a bit of work in looking at the things that have shaped us and decide, do I want that to still be a part of my blueprint? If not, I'm going to renovate. We can renovate our lives, we renovate our houses, we renovate our spaces, but we never take time to renovate our hearts and minds, do we? Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I drank it all in, all of it. I didn't live half a life. I didn't just succumb to the constant assault on life, forcing me to survive through this life. Imagine living your entire life in survival mode. Just, that's all you do, that's all you know. There has to be a reprieve somewhere. something has got to give, right? And to those of us who are stuck in a place where it's hard, and I think it's easy. Somebody might be saying it's easy for you. You got a job and you're sitting in a car. You always hear these these motivational speakers tell you, when I was living in my car, and I'm thinking, geez, guy, you actually had a car. Those don't got no car. Like, where are you gonna live? And the reality is that we're all going to start at a different level. And whether you feel that your rock bottom is credible enough or not, that's not the question, because we all don't have the same standard of rock bottom. For somebody, rock bottom is just, we're not getting a new car this year, and guess what? That's okay. That's your standard of rock bottom. Keep it, hold on to it. Yes, be cognizant of the fact that other people have far lower rock bottoms, right? But don't let anybody ever make you feel terrible for your rock bottom. It's yours. Work with that, because it's for you. It's about you. That battle, that inner battle for yourself, I think a lot of the times, a lot of us are constantly trying to pivot and shapeshift according to what we think other people want us to be, and you cannot live your life that way. You'll go mad. The best you can do is to let the world feel your weight, and then let them figure out what to do with it. But be alive. Be fully alive in your life, so that you can say Veni, Vidi, Vici at the end of your life. Strongly thinking about actually getting that tattooed somewhere, to remind me, you are here, you are seeing, and you must conquer. You can't just exist, breathe, and sleep, eat and poop, and that's all you do. Come on, there's more to you. All the ones who came before you, think of them as a great cloud of witnesses, and they're saying, we do hope, with all the advantages and disadvantages that we gave you, all the quirks and the strengths that we passed on to you, we hope that you would make good on them, because we did. That's all we can do. Did I live it as best as I could? There's a beautiful, and I've quoted it before, and the guy speaks about how he'd like to come into eternity or into heaven one day. It says, I'd like to come into heaven sliding in sideways, full of scratches, scrapes, and bruises, screaming, what a life. And that's all I want. That's all anybody of us should desire, to be the highest possible expression of ourselves. Beyond that, it's and then some stuff. Whether you make the billions or you don't, and if you have the opportunity to make the billions, I say go for it. We need more people showing us what is possible, right? And even if you don't, choose your success, choose your idea of what a good life is, and stick to it. Yeah, curate it as much as you want, vigorously as much as you need, but it's yours. Make it yours. Don't let it be a success model of other people. You'll never be satisfied. For me, it might look like being able to have a family and provide well for them. I don't need to start the next, big thing that makes me the richest man in the world. I don't really need that. Would it be great? Yeah, sure. That means I'm able to do more. I'm able to affect more. If I get billions, awesome. Thank you, God. That means I'm able to touch more lives. But if it means that my impact is going to be the people that live under my roof, I'm good with that. That is brilliant for me. So all I can say to you is, can you say those three words, or those three statements that Julius Caesar at the end of his ridiculously marvelous life said, I came, I saw, I conquered. There's nothing more to it. Veni, Vidi, Vici. The proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my time trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. Love you guys.